Hello everybody, I hope this video finds you well. This is the first video I've ever recorded, so I ask you to just have a little bit of patience. I've never done this before, and if there's any kind of error, forgive me and I'll improve for sure. Anyway, today's video is on characterization, and inference. I gave you a worksheet in class. That's the homework. If you were absent from class, please check the e-board and you'll find the worksheet there, and that will help you to complete work to remember the information. So we'll start here. Character. We're all familiar with the character. The actual definition is an imaginary person in a literary work. A character is made up. In most fiction, there are at least two major characters. There's a protagonist and an antagonist. The protagonist is the main character of the story. That character endures the central conflict of the story and is usually changed by the conflict. So if you have seen the Lego movie, Emmett is the main character. He kind of starts, he's like a nobody. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't really know anyone. He's unsure of himself. People don't know who he is. And by the end of the movie, he's saved the universe, gotten a girlfriend. And because of the problem that he goes through with Lord Business and also within himself, he's a different person by the end of it. He's changed. If you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord. Nobody knows who Star-Lord is. He's some guy. He kind of wanders the universe. And by the end, he saves the universe also. And he has made a name for himself. He has a reputation. He's a better person, and he's a changed person. Then you have an antagonist in works of fiction. The antagonist is a secondary but also important character. The antagonist forces the protagonist to face the conflict in the story. Now, although those of you who may speak Spanish may know the word antagonist, or a similar word, a cognate, means often enemy or opponent. In this case, an antagonist does not have to be an enemy. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a friendly character who in some way makes the protagonist go through the conflict of the story. So please take a minute to apply this and think about the story Thank You Ma'am that we read in class today. In the story Thank You Ma'am, it's about a boy named Roger who tries to steal a woman's purse, but he's stopped by her, and he's actually helped by her. So when you think about the two characters at the beginning and the end of the story, the protagonist is the character who changes because of the conflict. The antagonist is the character who forces the protagonist to face the conflict. So on the worksheet that you got in class, please take a look at the first question. Who is the protagonist of Thank You Ma'am, and how do you know? Who is the antagonist of Thank You Ma'am, and how do you know? Please pause the video, answer those questions right on your worksheet, and then you can start it up again, and we'll continue. Okay, I'm assuming you stopped the video, you filled in the worksheet, and now we're on to types of characters. Although there are tons and tons of different types of characters, when we analyze literature, there are four major types that we talk about. Some characters are round. Those characters have many qualities, and they can be positive or negative. And the way you can remember this is to think about well-rounded people. People who are well-rounded have a number of qualities. Maybe they're an athlete and they do theater, and they're good in school, and I don't know. Well-rounded people usually are involved in a number of things, whereas flat characters have one predominant quality. They may not be the most important, or perhaps they're not the protagonist, and we're not going to see change. So flat characters have one dominant quality. Dynamic characters are characters who develop and grow in a story. The protagonist is going to be a dynamic character always, because that character will change in the story. Whereas a static character does not change. That could be the antagonist, or it could just be other characters, minor characters perhaps. So please take a moment to apply this. Look at your worksheet. The first question, is Miss Jones a round or a flat character? Please explain why. So you're going to want to explain why whether she's well-rounded, whether she has a lot of qualities, or if she's mostly a one-dimensional, one dominant quality for her. Also, you want to think, is she dynamic or static, and explain why. So does she change, or does she kind of stay who she is at the beginning? And please explain what you see that would support your answer. Then, is Roger a round or flat character? Why? Is he dynamic or static? And why? Please stop the video, take a moment, film the sheet, and when you're done, you can restart and we'll continue. Okay, and our last kind of section of the video and the homework, the lesson, is on characterization and inference. So when we read, we're constantly making inferences about the characters we meet, and an inference is an educated guess. Now, characterization in general is the process, it's the way authors make characters real to us. And there are two ways an author can do it. An author can use direct characterization, and that's when we get information directly. So the author will directly tell us the character is tall, the character is angry, the character is a violent person. We get it directly out of the author or the narrator's mouth, so to speak. Indirect characterization is when authors give us information about the characters and we draw conclusions from the information. So an author might say that the teacher opened the door, walked into the room, and the students quickly got to their seats and started working right away. We might infer that the teacher is serious, or that the teacher is strict, or perhaps that the teacher is mean by the way the students act. We weren't told directly, we were able to guess it. So there are a few methods an author uses to indirectly describe a character. How a character looks, what a character says, what a character thinks, what a character does, what other characters say about the character, and how other characters treat the character. So it's kind of like in life. When we see other people in the world, they don't directly tell us, I'm a mean person, I'm a nice person, I have a grudge on, a chip on my shoulder, I have a grudge, I'm sweet and kind. We infer it based on the way they act, the things they say, and the way other people treat them. Okay, so it's direct and indirect characterization. So please take a moment and return to the sheet that you got. Consider the story. Thank you, ma'am. I'd like you please to come up with one word to describe Roger. Then go back to the story and find the details that make you think that you're true, that your inference is true. Then I would like you to come up with a word to describe Miss Jones. Then return to the story and find details that make you think that your opinion is true. Please do not say that Mrs. Jones is large. We know that she is because the author directly tells us that. I'm hoping that you can come up with an inference we don't directly hear in the story that is true because of other information we get. So I want you to make an educated guess. That's it for this video. That's the end of the slide. That's the end of the information. Please bring the completed worksheet to class for full credit. If you come in and tell me, hey, miss, I saw the video, it's not going to get you the credit that filling in the worksheet will. And if you have any questions at all, please do feel free to email me at eferreira, EFERREIRA, @teenixschools.org. See you soon.